G'day, thanks for watching these Pickaxe ProtoPLATFORM soldering tutorials or assembly tutorials. I'm going to quickly put together this ProtoPLATFORM. Doesn't take very long. You don't need the same tools, you don't need the side cutters or the pliers for this one. So we'll just open them up and have a quick look. Now, in the pack I've supplied a mini breadboard, solderless breadboard. You've got your PCB, and these aren't joined together, they're just stored like that. Four stackable headers, two that are the 6-way and two that are 10-way, and I've also included some Cat 5 cable, just an offcut, and inside that cable we're going to show you in some videos, but there's 8 lots of little jumper wires in there, and this is just a cheap way to do some prototyping rather than having to buy some proper official jumper leads. So you can take them out and they're just twisted pairs like that, pull them out with some pliers, you can untwist them, sort of straighten them out, and just use your side cutters and strip the ends off of that wire. Haven't done a very good job of that one. Terrible job, there we go, so that you can see that solid copper core wire. Maybe I'll show you with that underneath and coming into focus, I think. There we go, you can just see that that copper of the end of that wire, and hold it down there. So you can take off both ends. Sometimes it's easier to hold the other end in some pliers like that. If you've got some sort of a fancy wire stripping tool, you can certainly use that, but for those of you that don't, a pair of side cutters and some pliers will do if you're careful. And you can just take the last sort of 10mm off of the coating of the wire, just like that. So for this board, there's tracks between each of those 5 holes, just like there is in the breadboard. So the idea of this one is that you can prototype an idea on top of the motherboard. Once you've got that idea working, you can grab another one of these boards that are exactly the same, and you can solder links of wire in between these pins, those holes there, oops, and whatever track it was. So if you had I'll show you in a video obviously, but if you had a track that was going from this pin here into the top right hand corner of the breadboard like that, then we could do the same thing with this and put a wire exactly in the same place, so it replicates exactly what you had on the prototyping board when you were using the solderless breadboard. So you can prototype an idea and then solder it in place and make it permanent. Now we use stackable headers on this one, so that if you had sort of a complex project, you could put lots of these on top of each other and prototype one layer one by one. But it also shows you how the boards can stack together. So we just need to use the outside holes and push that all the way through. Outside holes, push it all the way through. Same thing, all the way through. Make sure it's nice and flat on the table. I'd probably use, again, a starter platform with some of the male headers, or something that you can put through from the back like this. So in there and there, push that together. Make sure there's no gaps in that PCB. Grab my solder stand, make sure they're nice and tight, and again we'll just do one pin on each of those stackable headers. So we're soldering on the bottom. Obviously you're not going to cut these pins off, these are what we use for the connections, so it's a bit hard to get into, but solder one of each of these pins. There we go. And just check down the sides, just have a visual inspection to make sure that they're all stacked in nicely. It's not no angles or anything like that on it. And I'd probably even solder the opposite pin and do another check, but if you're confident, then just go for it. So you could even do a check now that it comes on and off easily once you got those 8 solder joints done. Take a little bit longer to heat up because they've got a fair bit of metal that's taking the heat away in that big long pin compared to the other headers and little leads. Notice I sometimes just touch the soldering iron tip just to wet the tip before I touch the rest of the pad, and that seems to conduct the heat a little bit better. Helps with the heat transfer. Alright, that's almost done. Last thing that we'll do is take the adhesive backing off the back of this breadboard. You don't have to if you want to save the breadboard, but otherwise I'll take that backing off, and it's just a bit of double-sided tape there, and it doesn't have an orientation, but I'd try and get it as close to the center as possible. There we go, so that it's stuck down, and that can be put on top of your motherboard. Now at the moment there is one spare pin there, doesn't matter, it just sits there.